treat for me today to be chatting with you, Kevin McCann. And although we share the same last name, same spelling, we're certain we're related somehow, but it's probably a really long time ago.
We'll claim each other anyway, Jim, you know.
So Kevin, you reached out to connect with me on LinkedIn, and I was intrigued when I saw that you were in the agriculture business, as are we, and that your name is Kevin, and I have a brother, Kevin, and it just intrigued me because, as I mentioned to you and your dad when we chatted one other time, I knew one fellow in the produce business there who reigned from the area where you live. His name was Neil McCann. You said he's since passed, but he was a great fellow I met probably 25, 30 years ago. And I was happy to get to know him. And we kidded about the fact that we were probably related. And at least in your part of the world, there are McCanns. There's quite a few McCanns here in the U.S. too. Not as many in Ireland as I would have thought. It's not the most common name.
No, it's funny in the local, when you go into really rural Ireland, in our own home parish, God rest my grandfather, I remember him telling me a story that there was, when he was a child, there were 7 sets of McCann families, but not one was integrated related. Probably, I think if you went through the history books, that probably someone jumped ship somewhere along the line. It's not a common name. It's primarily focused on the county of Armagh, which Ireland has 32 counties, obviously. Tyrone would be famous for O'Neill, Donnelly, you know, all these. You start going into the Fitzgeralds, Fitzpatricks throughout the country, O'Connells. There's various Irish names, and when you actually go into the Irish language, Gaelic, you call our names, you and I, McCanna, so it's MACCANA. So that's the way you spell the Irish version of it. And you know, we're actually, there's like a document that you talk about history books and so on and so forth. There's an article that we came across a few years ago by a Dr. Eamon Phoenix. He was a local historian. There was an Nevin McCanna. I'll not even try to spell that first name for the gentleman, but his history traces back to 1155 AD, and he lived in the County Armagh, County Tyrone border, and he was an apple grower. It's definitely in the blood.
So we have a long tradition. It probably morphed into our DNA.
Definitely.
And wasn't I tickled to see that you have this multi-generational farm and brand there in Armagh, and of course now this branch of the family in the growing of pears and apples too, with our brand Harry and David, where we grow in Southwest Oregon our beautiful Comise pears and different varieties of apples, a lot of peaches, and now we're planting kiwis and grapes as well. So keeping the McCann horticultural tradition rebirth here in the new land.
Both sides of the Atlantic, says you, Jim. You know, it's a great story. You never mind anything else. You know,
if you weren't speaking with an American here, would you be talking about being in Ireland, or would you be talking about being in Northern Ireland?
Where I'm sitting now is in Armagh, so that's actually in the north. So that's northern, and Ireland. So we, as our business, we are an all-island business, which obviously in the last couple of years, not sure whether the States would have, I'm sure you've got a bit of press about the whole Brexit breakup over in Europe with the UK, which is
something that you must have been very concerned about, because you grow your product in the north of Ireland, but your outlets are all over Ireland.
Yeah.
And in fact, the Dublin market is your biggest outlet, and anything that might have restricted the trade between the counties of the north and the Republic of Ireland would have been devastating for the McCann orchard.
Totally, and actually, we actually operate both sides now. So we actually, I'll fill you in later on, but my grandfather we set up base here in County Armagh in 1968, and it has done very well since then. And we've always called it home. You know, it was a major concern. Like anyone in business, our personal view, we were probably not for Brexit. We see that you better stay united and, you know, go as a team rather than break off. And I think I'm not of a generation that's seen the troubles of the past, but certainly my grandfather and father before me, I heard all the stories, and my generation doesn't want to see that coming back. I would certainly believe that, even in terms of socializing, you know, people it's not like that nowadays, which is great. Obviously, we can all go out to a pub and have a bit of fun and have a bit of crack, as the Irish say, and we get on with it. And, I suppose 20, 30, 40 years ago, that just wasn't maybe as convenient to my dad's generation. I think in today's world, I've certainly learned you should always keep doors open, don't close them. And I think that's my personal view anyway. I don't logically see that the benefit of it over this part of the world anyway. There's obviously been a protocol deal done, which is going through some forms of difficulty with different levels of government. And I think it keeps Northern Ireland, Southern Ireland, and it keeps certainly the North in the EU trade bloc, which obviously has to be governed by EU. And some of the UK counterparts are seeing that as a difficulty. So I'm not too proxy to it all. I just keep tabs on the news and kind of keep up to date with local government updates.
But right now, the situation is that there are no restrictions of the flow of goods and services, and you're expecting that'll stay the case.
Correct, yeah. NI to ROI, that's fine. If you're bringing stock from GB to NI or ROI, you have to have checks, which isn't really a great difficulty in my opinion, because everything has to get loaded on a truck onto a boat, and it has to physically cross the Irish Sea. So no matter about anything, it's a lot easier control from that point. But even having said that, I think the island's far too small. Like when we compare ourselves to the States, we're not even the size of a state. And I think,
well, just to give people some context, in the whole of the island of Ireland, about 5.5 million people.
Oh, sorry, but that's actually in the Republic, and then the North, it's about 7 million altogether. So it is
7 million combined. Okay, which is a little smaller than the population of New York City.
Yeah.
So just to give people some context, but one of the things that you and your family are working toward is to help the island of Ireland with its climate goals to create less carbon released into the atmosphere, to grow more, and part of that is to grow more product to be consumed by Irish in Ireland, and to be very sensible about how you grow. Tell us, Kevin, how you've changed your farming techniques to be more efficient and to produce a better yield, ergo trees absorbing carbon from the atmosphere, producing more locally grown, really good produce that doesn't have to be transported a great distance by truck, boat, or air.
To kind of give a context, I just have a few apples sitting beside me. I'm going to show them the camera, maybe if you can see it, but this is a Bramley apple, and that traditionally would be a cooking apple,
right?
Yeah, for your apple pie and apple crumble and so forth. Yeah, whenever you cook it, I'm not going to let on.
The sugars come out.
Correct. I'm not proxy to cooking too many, but my mother definitely can bake the best apple pie in the country, but I'm going to say everyone says that about their mum. So traditionally, this area would be very focused on Bramley production. But when you look at the entire market of Ireland, probably the figures coming from the likes of the data research and so on, we import over 95% of the eating apples, the dessert apples, into Ireland. So we're importing from mainland Europe, further afield, so South Africa, New Zealand, and so on. So we kind of, as a business, it makes business sense, certainly, but certainly as a viewpoint, my brother and I and my father said we need to make a move here. We need to change something, because if we can't diversify the market, what
an opportunity, yeah.
Yeah. And anyone can purchase a box of apples from France or South Africa and bring it in and put a buck on it and turn it over again and try to make a profit and survive. But I think our customers want to be working with people that are obviously ahead of the market, doing the right things. I think the carbon footprint's going to become a major factor, certainly in the years ahead. I think already we can see focus is heading that road, and packaging and so on. One-use plastic is a big no-no over this side. So going back, to the orchards side of thing, traditionally we would have planted, or my forefathers would have been planting 350 trees per acre. And just to give you, and the guys watching in here, an apple tree would be probably about 3 meters in height. That's what it'll grow to, and it'll be about a meter wide. That's when you get it from the nurseries. So imagine 350 of them in an acre of a field. We planted 1,300 trees per acre, and it's quite a unique system. Certainly, it's the first kind in Ireland. There would be plantations out like around the world, but
So that's very dense planting.
very dense, very dense. We actually only have about.
Do you trim them so they don't grow too tall?
Correct. Yeah. So the whole structure basically, and our business, we're very hands-on, whether it's wearing a suit and a shirt and tie today, going to a customer's meeting, or on a tractor tomorrow. We're very, very hands-on. We have a great team of people around us, but trucks were coming in. My brother and I were on the plough, my father on the digger. We were stuck in the middle of it when we were planting. Brought the trees in from the nurseries and gave them the best of care that we possibly could. Everything just clicked into place first, and this was in the middle of COVID. I think we forget about COVID nowadays, but when we think back, all the restrictions and so on, I'm sure it was the same in the States as it was in Ireland. It was difficult. Sure. We started on the 30th of April 2021 to plant, and we planted over 130,000 trees over the space of a month. And then we did the structural build after that. And this September and October 2022, we took a commercial crop of about 600 tons off that plantation.
Well, that's terrific.
It was probably you think it's mature tree. It was about a 2-year-old dwarf off the nursery. We put that in the ground, and, you're seeing from bare wood to your leaf development to your bud, really till you get to that. So like when you see that's a gala apple there that's came off the orchard this year. First of all, the actual trees in the ground are carbon sequesternizing. So they take in the CO2 from the air and actually turn that into oxygen again. So it's the exact same mechanism as your tree in your garden. And then as well as that, on the tonnage that we'll produce, we're going to save approximately about 190 odd thousand kilograms of food miles. So we're taking that off trucks. So we won't have to take in the trucks from Europe and so on. We're keeping the infrastructure in the country. And it's a tick box exercise for everyone, but obviously it takes a lot to get it off the ground,
And how many different varieties of apples now are you growing?
Apples, we've stuck mainly. Gala apple would be the main variety for the dessert, the red market. So that's that. And then we have Golden Delicious, which we have pollinators throughout the orchard, so they cross pollinate. They would be quite common in the dessert, the eating apple category. And then we still have the Bramley apple growing. We've planted some new orchards of that too, and new rootstocks, which will give a far superior skin finish, quality, and yield. And then we've went with conference pear, so that would be a conference pear. If you would have seen that anywhere before, so that would be a big consumed product over our way.
That's a good looking pear. That's a dessert pear as well.
Correct. And then unfortunately, we've sold all our stock. We have a brand or a pear variety called Cutie, QTEE. And the name gives it away. It is a super product, and we're delighted that we're the first in Ireland to bring it to market. And we're actually expanding now to try to get obviously more plantation, more yield, and to date everything, touch wood, is the great Irish saying over here. Everything has went very well so far this year, and to be fair, we've had great respect from our customers. Everyone's really backing us, so it's great.
Where'd you get the rootstock for the cutie pears?
It came out of a nursery in Belgium. So the rootstock would be a Belgium. There's a company over there that bred it, and it's a red blushing pear. So it's totally in contrast to the conference. It's a red blush. I'll send you on a few pics, Jim, just for yourself to have a look. It's a super product, and we really see that as probably the new go pear, if you want to call it, for the market in times ahead. So we're linked in, which is great too, and it's sharing knowledge and so on. We're linked in with other growers in Europe. So there's growers in, Belgium, Holland, France, even up in Norway and Sweden. Tomorrow I'm flying over to Berlin, and there's a big exhibition. The Fruit Logistica would be quite a global. We'd have guys from the States over there as well, and we'll meet up with our counterparts in that pear variety and, share thoughts and share opportunities. So it's a great way of making friends and never mind anything else in the business, and sharing thoughts.
How long will you spend there in Berlin at the event?
Back home. I think I'm flying out tomorrow and then back home Friday night. So brief short visit, but
but I bet there's a lot of learning that goes on in those few days, huh? Exactly.
It's hard on. It's very it's tough in the feet, and you certainly you don't need any rocking to sleep when you come back home, Jim. It's no, but it's a key event to attend. But I think going back to kind of the Irish market, I think there's opportunity because we have it on our agenda, or we have it kind of on our feeling. It's on our shoulders. I think maybe is the word I'm thinking of more so than anything. the Apple business has been good to us, my family over here, and I think it's about time we have to put something back in to regenerate it and kind of encourage new product, new kind of people into the business, because I think when things kind of sit in a dull for a number of years, it can kind of get static. And
if it's not changing, it's going backwards, right?
Yeah. And that maybe just so cold sometimes to say it that road, but it's the facts of life, If our customers weren't saying to us, you're doing the right thing, go for it, I think probably we might say we're a bit crazy, but to date it's been great. And
oh no, you guys are crazy. There's no question about it.
It's in the surname, Jim. It's in the surname,
We have no choice. But what a wonderful thing. 3 generations, started by your grandfather, 1968 in County Armagh. Yeah. You have a few different growing areas now. Is there likely to be a 4th generation interested in the business?
Not that we haven't been told, but we'll certainly plan on it. We will eventually. Nothing in the pipework in the immediate 9 months anyway, Jim. Put it like that.
I think we have to sit down and talk about this on a separate issue here. Come on, we got to get going. You got to be productive.
You have to be productive. But we hope and pray, so we do. I'll leave it in that note.
Or maybe reproductive. I don't know.
It's in the blood. I think we'll be all right. We'll get something sorted, But
I have 7 grandkids I'm willing to export. They work like a Dickens, and they're very good at picking apples, especially if the trees have been pruned and densely planted, so they don't have to climb ladders.
Not a problem. The kid, they're all very welcome. Not a problem. We'll bring them over and show them how it's done, And you talk about family businesses and everything. Like, I know I touched a little bit of the conversation the last time we spoke. Like, even my brother Oliver Jr. and I, we had great experience with my grandfather, And I didn't mind schoolwork. The brother totally. He was very mechanically minded, and I often remember my grandfather, we went to talk about St. Patrick's. We attended St. Patrick's in Armagh, which would have been one of the local schools. And many a time my grandfather would have collected us, not at school finishing time, but maybe at 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and we would have bunked off school. But we were always doing things for the business. We weren't down the town messing around, and we had great time with him. And it was nice to see that, because I think business is corporate, a lot of things, but I think people forget that family businesses, it is a family, and
the calendar doesn't respect Saturdays or Sundays.
Definitely not. And if
it still grows, the weeds still pop up.
Correct. And even if you've been out on a Saturday night, Jim, and you have a slightly sore head on a Sunday morning, you still have to get up and go. That's speaking from experience.
Growing. Let's talk about St. Patrick's Day. In the U.S., cities like New York, Chicago, Savannah, Georgia, Naples, Florida, wonderful towns, all have these great, Boston, have great St. Patrick's celebrations. And I was surprised some years ago to learn from my Irish friends that St. Patrick's celebrations, which was much more of an American thing. Yeah. And they were all puzzled about the idea of corned beef being the food, because they said they never saw corned beef when they were growing up, that it was boiled bacon and potatoes and soda bread were things that they remembered. But they didn't remember St. Patrick's Day when they were kids. So people my age or younger didn't remember St. Patrick's Day being much of a celebration in Ireland at all. And it's only in the, let's call it 3 generations since then, that it's become that the Irish in Ireland are mimicking the Irish Americans in terms of their celebratory ways. Is that the same in Armagh?
Definitely. Like, even from experience, like in the local Armagh's the ecclesiastical capital of Ireland. So we actually have 2 St. Patrick's cathedrals in Armagh. So you have yeah, exactly. We can't give them away, But you have the Church of Ireland, St. Patrick's Cathedral, and then you have the Catholic. And there's 2 separate kind of religions, but very much get on and move forward, which is great. And they bring the bishops and all together, and they bring the communities together, and we have a massive St. Patrick's Day parade through the streets and so on. And it's a great family day. Believe me, you have to wear a coat. You talked about a raincoat over there. I think if you have a coat and a top coat and maybe another one just to spare, it's the best way to go. It can get quite chilly over here on the 17th of March.
I learned that in Ireland you dress in layers.
Yes, exactly. It's a great spot for the all-weather camper sort of thing, But look, it even like Dublin City has become a massive attraction for the for the St. Patrick's Day, and we have the RTE, which is the national television service over here, on the TV all day, and looked around the hair, and Michael D. Higgins would make a speech in the Taoiseach and so on. So, I mean, the President of Ireland and the Prime Minister of Ireland would be the sayings I just spoke. And, it's a great celebration. I think probably the Irish don't maybe do it justice because, we celebrate it, but we just take it and get on with it. Whereas maybe if we were away, if I was in Australia, I think maybe you would make more of home because everyone likes a little bit of, it's like a teddy bear. Everyone likes having a teddy, have it close by. And I think far away fields, whenever you hear of Paddy or Mick or anything like that, and certainly in a far land, I think people value home kind of, favors and so on. So I think certainly I haven't got over just yet, Jim, but I definitely plan to make a stateside visit for St. Patrick's Day, some of the parades,
We have to make that happen. You say sometimes the expats are hold on to their tradition, their celebrations, maybe a little bit more dearly. I know I worked for years with an English origin company in the insurance business. And when I travel around the world to visit different of their outposts, their business followed the British colonial empire. And you'd meet expats in Asia. And I thought to myself, oh my God, these people are more British than the people in the UK.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's that same phenomenon. You hold dear those historical and cultural celebrations and roots as a way of clinging to your history. At Harry and David, when we've had our conversations, Kevin, in the past with your dad about your products, one of the products that you're quite well known for in Ireland are your juice products. You blend different juice products with different kind of berry ingredients and all to round out the different flavor profiles. And we were thinking that's something that we'd love to introduce to our customers. And we do here. So it's a combination of Harry and David and 1-800-Flowers. At 1-800-Flowers and at Harry and David, we do a countdown to St. Patrick's Day because it's just fun. We count down to 17 days of March to St. Patrick's Day, and we do different things like do contests with our community, inviting people to share with us their favorite Irish novel, their favorite Irish song, their favorite limerick, their favorite saying, their favorite toast. Favorite Irish movie, actor, actress, etc. We just do it just to have fun, and it is a great deal of fun. We're doing one now for Valentine's Day. We'd love to get you involved in a couple of different ways, Kevin. One, we'd love to expose the P. McCann Sons orchards to our community in a fun kind of way, like through our St. Patrick's Day countdown. But then in a broader kind of way, we at Harry and David have a program where we grow our own product. And we have 5,000 acres out in Southwest Oregon, as you know, where we grow all of our product. But more and more, we realize that our community expects that we know who grows the best of blank, fill in the blank, because we're involved like you are in the agriculture community so deeply. And we have our buyers and our reps who are visiting farms all over the country all the time. So we found a family farm in Ohio here in the U.S., a beautiful little microclimate right on the shores of Lake Erie. And they have you beat by 3 generations because they're 6 generations of the Jones family in the vegetable growing business. And so we're introducing their product to our consumers because we found that they're the best vegetable growers we know. And we're finding different niche growers of different products. And what we do is we put them in our Artisan Select program. If they meet our criteria, and we're saying to our community, to our customers, that these are people we know, and we've seen their facilities, we know how they think about things, we share values with them, and their agricultural methods are up to our standards, and we're happy and comfortable to introduce our community to their products. So I think we have an opportunity to do that with you and your products too, because I would imagine your cycles for harvest are going to be just a little bit different than ours are on the West Coast of the U.S. So that would, just lengthen our ability to bring, for example, the Gaylor apple to our customers in a nice, fun, interesting packaging that would
Definitely.
celebrate the fact that they are from Ireland and they're only available for a brief window, and to bring them to our customers. So I think we could have fun with that. So we need to get you to plan your US trip. Love to have you come see our grow facilities and see what we do in the Rogue Valley in Medford, Oregon. And I bet we could learn a lot from one another.
That's music to my ears, so it is, Jim. And I think it's key. This business is very much about seeing is believing. And I think, you know what, walking into one of your orchards automatically, I think if you and I didn't even speak English, or your colleagues in that, in Harry and David, I think automatically we could start communicating, because you have a feel for it, I think. And I'm saying that as a young guy. You know, I think it's.
Are you implying that I'm an old guy? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't mean that. No, by any kind.
Come on now.
Not at all whatsoever. You know, how do I undig that hole, Jim? You know, but it's well, if anything, if the gene pool's looking good, I think I'll turn out all right, Jim. You know, that's a compliment there. So you're a good-looking guy. But
I have sons who are older than you.
I know. I'll keep the sweet talk so well short, but. You know, I just think that look, it's amazing, and like you and I, you know, you talk about the ways and means of the world, even through LinkedIn, and what a simple kind of just note or conversation can lead to. I think it's just amazing, and you know, you think back, and I'm looking, just I'm in the conference room here at the offices, and there's a photograph of my grandfather just looks over the table, and I think back to him.
The eyes follow you, Kevin.
Yeah, he secretly, when we're having a staff meeting, he keeps everyone on their toes, so he does, you know, and he drip feeds us back what they say about us when we leave the room, so he does. But like, from a business that started like yourself, you know, like you started hard slog and on the street, and certainly what I've kind of found out about you, which is fantastic. You know, my granda started bagging apples on the kitchen table, and his kids went out and sold them, and my father joined him in the business. And you know, it's real at the end of the day. I think we forget that. I think someone started a business, and it takes that person that kind of gets the drive. And you know, thankfully, we're very thankful, my brother Oliver Jr. and I, that we've been born into it. And I think kind of, you know, we want to leave our mark in the business for the next 50 years, if you want to call it, and hopefully we'll be still there, so we will be. But
I bet it will be, and I'll bet there'll be lots of innovations between here and there. There's so much that the agricultural world I find to be so intriguing. Kevin, you were born into it. I wasn't. We didn't have a lot. I lived in a very a beautiful place in New York City. In fact, we had a tree on my block, so we felt like we were on a farm. But I genuinely have come to love the ag. Now, it comes with all the different problems that you know about. And I'm certainly much more keen about weather forecasts than I've ever been, because we've been struggling with the climate changes that are happening for whatever reasons. We think they're somewhat man-made or man-induced changes that are taking place with our carbon emissions. And that's a personal journey that I've been on of discovery over the last year or so. From an agriculture point of view, there's so many more things. We're not blessed with the water conditions that you have there in Ireland. We have drought conditions. Our growing area, which is a beautiful valley, is primarily high desert in its nature, and it's a wonderful place to grow our particular brand of pear, Comis pear, as I mentioned, which is unlike the pears that you're growing. These are very soft-skinned, very plump, very juicy, very sweet pears, the most delicious pears in the world. But it takes a really controlled water system to have them perform at their peak, and it's becoming more and more challenging. In fact, Friday we had a multi-hour deep dive on the climate issues we're facing. Where do we move our production? What kind of steps can we take to mitigate some of the risks that we're taking, and make sure we get the crop that our customers have come to love and expect. So lots of challenges with agriculture, and being a multi-generational family in it, it's second nature to you. But for those of us who came to it late, it's a whole new set of challenges. But we'd love to share stories. We'd love to have you come visit our facilities, and we'd love to bring your juice, your different varieties of apples and pears to our customers. And who knows, maybe we'll find something that we can grow together.
Look, there's loads of opportunities. The sky's the limit. close to your heart there with that bit of Irish blood in you, Jim. You know, I think you would really like to see it succeeding and so forth. When you have Joe Biden hopefully coming over this part of the world, you might get him to call into the orchard when he's going past, you know.
Maybe we could hitch a ride with him. I'm sure he's got plenty
Yeah.
of room on that big airplane.
Say he'll squeeze you in somewhere in the back hall, so he will, you know. I think just even like for future proofing business, I think like you talked about the struggles and the orchards and so on, or the uphill battles rather than struggles. But I think, you know, there's always something, and rightly so, it's like us, we've done a complete culture change at our side. Like a lot of maybe the other growers would think we're somewhat mad, one word, but certainly you know, we're trying to change things for the better for the future. And I think, you know, you have to move with the times. Like you can't stay static. And I think, look what, you know, an opportunity that you can talk to people all over the world about a product that can be sold. Certainly an added value product can be sold. Our fresh fruit juices are pressed, so they're totally pure. And that's all just product that's coming out of the pack house.
And you juice the fruit yourself?
Yeah, we're a complete integrated supply chain, so we can control everything in our own product range. We do work with other local growers as well in the area and further afield, but we can control everything from, you know, literally the tree in the ground right through to the customer shelf. I think that's probably one thing that has placed us in good stead for the future, because our customers like to see transparency, I think is the word for it, and trust. Trust's a big word I think people maybe don't talk about in the food supply chain. I think trust needs to be there from a customer. Yeah. So
any berries grown in your area?
Not yet, but there would be some other growers. There'll be soft fruit growers, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, and so on. And we don't venture into that, but never say never. I think is maybe the word to leave that one, Jim. New product development might be looking after some area in that end of it, but certainly.
Our head of ag, his name is Matt Bauman, is tickled with the idea of kiwis. So we're just planting some kiwis. He thinks are an extraordinary variety of kiwis. We think our climate conditions would be just right for this particular variety of kiwis. I love hanging around with smart people who know a lot about ag, and you and your brother Oliver Jr. are among those. So I look forward to ways that we can celebrate St. Patrick's together over this little pond between us. Yes, I look forward to getting you over here and getting you to see our operations and figuring out ways for us to bring your fine products to our customers, especially with the complementary seasons. And who knows, maybe we'll take a plane load of them and come visit the farm, but we won't be there at harvest time because that's hard work.
That is come any other time of the year, not a problem, unless you want to get. I'll be giving you a picking basket, Jim, and saying get started in row 201. You know,
been there and done that.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but no, look, I think it's the start of something beautiful, as they say. You know, and I'll not just start my Irish singing yet, Jim. I'll leave that to we're having a glass of Jameson somewhere, so well, you know.
But I bet it wouldn't take much to provoke you.
No, definitely not. No, I'm not too shy now, you know. But look, it's definitely a great opportunity, and I know I have to give a full report to my dad. Unfortunately, I did mention to him he just got tied up in another meeting, and I see 3 missed phone calls from him already. So he's all
right. So you go tend to Dad, and we look forward to connecting with you again and celebrating together St. Patrick's Day.
Great, and Slán go fóill, as they say over here, and best wishes, Jim.